Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second drivers' press conference here at the 2024-25 Madrid official testing of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship at Circuito del Jarama here in Spain. I'm joined by Zane Maloney from the Lola Yamaha Abt Formula E team, Oliver Rowland from the Nissan Formula E team, and Nyck Vries from Mahindra Racing. And Zane, we'll start with you as the newcomer. You've been around the paddock for quite a while now as a test driver and a reserve driver. How do you feel now getting this full-time race seat as you embark on your first season in Formula E?
Yeah, it feels great, of course. I mean, obviously I was with Andretti last year. Not much to do on the weekends, a bit boring, but it's great to be in a full-time seat with a new team, a new manufacturer. Of course, things are going to be tough initially, but the plan is to eventually be doing very well, and looking forward to it.
When did you first learn of the interest from the Lola Yamaha Abt collaboration, and what was it that convinced you that this was the right move for you?
Everything happened quite quickly. I mean, of course, I was focused on F2, doing a good job there, and then obviously Lola, Yamaha and Abt partnered together, and I mean, the first meeting after that, it was only a few weeks before everything was finished, so I think all of our goals were aligned, and I mean, it was a great opportunity straight away there's not many seats available in the world, so to get a great seat in Formula E is a great opportunity, and looking forward to making the most of it.
And what are your first impressions of the new Gen 3 Evo car? Because there's some pretty big developments there, with all-wheel drive being the main thing to get used to, I imagine.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's something big for the teams to learn. Of course, it's a lot quicker with the four-wheel drive. As a driver, you always like to go quicker, so it's very nice. I mean, from our side, it's also good to have something new for everyone, and it's not just us learning it as a team. Obviously, the tires are different as well, so that's a big thing coming into next year that all the teams are going to be learning and struggling to learn at this moment. But yeah, it's a lot to learn for everyone, and looking forward to the races and how it changes with 350.
In terms of a teammate with experience, you can't really get much more experience in Formula E than Lucas Di Grassi. What kind of impact has he had on you so far in the short time you've worked together?
I mean, he's very experienced. He's the most experienced on the grid. Of course, coming up the ranks in F3, F2, you're usually with someone your age and with your experience. So to have Lucas in the team is great. Of course, I'm coming with my experience from different categories as well, and everything's new. So the more that he knows, the more he can give to the team and myself as well. In terms of pure performance, obviously I'm confident as a driver what pace I have, but in every other aspect, I'll be learning from him a lot. Race scenarios, quali scenarios, what to do in different situations, and the more experience, the better in that sense. So looking forward to taking as much information from him.
And we're looking forward to seeing how that partnership develops. I'll move on to you, Ollie. Obviously coming off the back of a really, really strong season there, which could have been even stronger if it wasn't for a couple of things that were very much out of your control. How confident are you that you can replicate these performances going into season 11 and challenge for the title?
Yeah, I think last year was a pleasant surprise for everybody. You know, the performance on occasions was really, really strong, probably better than we kind of expected at the beginning. But it's kind of easy to say you want to replicate something, but you always want to improve. I think if you try and copy something, it's not so easy to do. So I think, yeah, I have a few areas, the team have a few areas that we needed to work on over the off-season, and still going into the season. So hopefully if we can address some of these things and bring a little bit more consistency to our performance, I think we should be in with a shout, I would say. But yeah, the main thing is to just always try and improve and working on the small bits. The team have done a great job with the new package. And I think, like you were just chatting about there with the Gen 3.5 and all the different changes, it's going to be very interesting.
You were one of the drivers that got very quickly used to the style of racing we saw when Gen 3 started. How do you think the style of racing will change now with the Gen 3 Evo car?
Well, I think it's quite tricky to say, but I think, you know, introducing the pit stops, the delta in pace between the attack mode last year and this year. Last year, I think it was more of a defensive strategy on most of the races. I think this year it'll be more opportunistic, where you're looking to kind of go forward. So I expect that when people take it, will be a bit more spread out, more towards the end, where, you know, you don't want to be left at the front with nothing and everybody else has 8 minutes to take, because the power and the lap time difference is huge. So I think it's going to change a little bit the way the races are. I expect still in the beginning it's going to be quite similar, where People are going to want to save energy and get to a point where they feel like they can get to a certain target. But I think the race will spread out earlier, and then I think with the pit stops and all the other stuff going on, I think that the race could change quite a bit from sort of a third of the way through.
You have another new teammate this year, and it's another teammate that's done something quite similar to you, went away from Nissan and is now back in the Nissan family in Norman Nato. What other qualities do you both share that can propel Nissan to the Teams Championship this year?
Well, I think now we both joined at the same time in Formula E, so I think now we probably have more experience. Obviously, Norman comes with a lot of experience from quite a lot of different teams. So I think he can kind of share that in terms of a technical background. And I think last year you saw against Jake, he did a pretty good job. Maybe he didn't quite have the same points in the end, but his pace in qualifying was every bit as good. So for sure he brings good speed, good feedback, and hopefully he can be there in the races, because quite often last year it was kind of just me against 4 Porsches and 4 Jaguars. So it was a little bit tricky on occasion. But yeah, hopefully he can get up to speed quickly and be there to kind of help at the front. It's kind of what you need in Formula E.
Thanks very much, Ollie. We'll move on to you, Nyck. Obviously, you won your championship in the Gen 2 car, you've driven the Gen 3 car, and we now go to the Gen 3 Evo car. What's your first impression of this new car and the changes?
Yeah, I think generally it's been very positive. It's nice to get some, let's say, additional performance, especially on the four-wheel drive. The softer tires, they think they're all improving the performance of the car effectively. Would have been nice to do the whole qualifying session in four-wheel drive actually, but it's been good so far. Obviously, the team is quite excited about our personal new powertrain, because that was I would say a bigger limitation for us in the past 2 seasons. So far it seems like there's still a lot of learning to be done in terms of I would say tires and race scenarios especially.
Obviously, last season there were signs of progression, but it was a tough season. When we look into season 11 now, what do you think is achievable both personally as a driver and as the team?
I don't know. I frankly don't know. It's very hard to know where you are after, let's say, 2 days of testing. So I think we'll need a few rounds to see where we are in the picking order and to set realistic targets. But at this point, I don't think we have enough information to have a good guess. But I'm confident that we will make progress and that we have made progress, and hopefully we can be more consistent in the points. But we'll find out soon.
Much like Zane, you're one of the drivers on the grid that does other championships, and you've just finished one championship as you prepare to start Formula E for season 11. How do you manage to switch off and find time to recuperate and recharge in between what is a very busy schedule for you?
Well, I don't think I need 6 months to wait for the next round. So I'm very happy that I'm lucky to race in different series. I don't even make 20 races a year or 22 races a year, so I'm still doing less than a full Formula 1 season. And I always make a comparison with other sports. I mean, every footballer, every golfer is on the course or on the pitch every day, and us drivers have to do with a few race weekends in a year. So I think I'm very lucky to be driving and learning and being involved in my sport across different series.
Excellent, thank you very much. We have time for some questions, if anyone would like to ask a question from the room. It's always you first, Jack. Here we go.
I've got a question for Ollie. Without wanting to be disrespectful to the situation as to why we're here and not Valencia, many of the drivers have said how much fun Jarama is to drive. Do you share that view, and what feedback can you get from the car on a circuit like this as opposed to a traditional Formula E one?
Yeah, I think everybody would probably agree that it's pretty intense to drive. There's quite a lot of high speed, quite a lot of camber elevation change, and it's a big challenge for us. And I think it's a great place to come and test. I think there's not so many similarities to a lot of the tracks that we race at, but I think looking forward and seeing how the cars are improving in terms of performance and knowing where Gen 4 is going, it's kind of a good step in the right direction to be coming to these tracks. Because as the car performance increases, then we need to go on bigger tracks, and Actually, honestly, the car feels quite fitted quite well to this track. I mean, I don't know if you've been out and watched, but it feels pretty quick in some of the corners. And what's also nice is that with the new tyres, you've got big step and grip when you put new tyres on. And extracting that has not really been something that's been in Formula E for a long time. Last year, you could kind of do FP1, FP2 on the same set of tyres and use them in qualifying. The performance didn't really change. So I think it's really interesting to see how that dynamic changes. And yeah, I think it's a great event to come test him.
Okay, Nyck.
Nyck Golding, Race News 365. Question for Zane. Obviously, alongside your racing this season, you've been part of the Sauber Academy and have been Stake F1's as a reserve driver. Were Sauber supportive of your decision to come to Formula E with Lola, and like other drivers in this championship, but is the plan to continue as well as its reserve?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity, of course, to be with Sauber, also with Andretti, and I gained a lot of experience this year, last year with Red Bull as well. Every team that I've worked with has helped me move forward. Of course, they were very supportive. For me to be in a race seat, I mean, they want to see me perform well and have a great career. So they didn't stop me from taking this opportunity. Still sorting everything out for what I'm doing next year outside of Formula E. But yeah, I'm fully focused on this new chapter with this team, Lola Yamaha Apt, and we'll see what happens in the future with Sauber.